Um, Hi everyone, and welcome to join the CGHE webinar 363. I'm Xinxu from Oxford Department of Education, and today we'll be hearing from Professor Futao Huang on a really important topic about the changes in transnational degree programs in Chinese university in the past 2 decades. So first of all, I would like to introduce Professor Futao Huang. So he works at the Research Institute for Higher Education at Hiroshima University in Japan. His major academic fields include internationalization of higher education, academic profession, and Chinese higher education, etc. And Futao is also a co-investigator of CGHE. I should also note that this webinar is part of a CGHE webinar series on the future of cross-border academic mobility. We've had 10 webinars on this topic with a group of amazing speakers so far. So if you're interested, you can find them on the CGHE website. And before I hand over to Futao for the presentation, there's some very brief housekeeping points to mention. So first of all, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted online on the CGHE website and in due course. A transcript of the chat function conversation will also be posted. In addition, the webinar will be shared in audio form on the Center for Global Higher Education podcast, which you can find on Spotify. Please keep yourself muted unless you have been asked to speak or ask a question. There's no need to have your video on during the webinar, but please do so when asking a question. We recommend you using the speaker view so that you can see more clearly who's talking. And to ask a question, please use the chat function and write out the questions you wish to ask. At the end of the presentation, if your question is selected, you'll be invited to ask your question yourself. And when invited to ask a question, please unmute yourself, switch on your video, and state your name and where you're from. So that's the housekeeping points. Without further ado, I will hand over to Futao for the talk.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Dr. Xin. And hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to talk to you about changes occurred in translational degree programs from 2003 to 23. I'll share my slides with you. This is my topic, and this is offline, and we'll start my presentation with a very brief introduction to background, research purpose and research questions. And the second part is a core part of my presentation is concerned with data analysis and discussion. So I will conclude my talk by presenting some new findings from this study. As I have only 30 minutes, so I will start my talk with a short introduction. And the title is about the translation of higher education. And as most of you know, in China, the Chinese equivalent to English phrase translation of higher education or translation of education is 中外合作办学 in Chinese. It means Chinese foreign cooperation in running schools or the joint operation of higher education institutions and collaborative delivery of education programs with foreign partners and universities of Hong Kong, Macau. And I think this is the first document formulated by the Minister of Education of China in 1995. Since that time, slight changes have been made to the phrase or definition of 中外合作办学 or translation of higher education in China, but the core part of the definition, the concept, has not been revised at all. So in my talk, I will use the two phrases in the same sense. One is the translation of higher education in English, and the other is Chinese equivalent 中外合作办学. According to Lin, and Lin is president of China Association on Translation of Higher Education, and he published an article last year. According to his article, translation of higher education institutions and programs accounted for about 90% of the total translation of institutions and programs, including secondary and other forms of institutions and programs. And also he mentions the number of enrolled students is about 600,000 by 2022. And the number of graduates exceeds 2 million. So you can see, and China has achieved rapid expansion in numbers of enrolled students in translational higher education programs or institutions. And he also mentioned the quality of translation of higher education, and he emphasized the quality of translation of higher education has also been greatly improved as more leading foreign universities have collaborated with Chinese institutions, and more domestic students with high quality have been admitted to these institutions and programs. So I think this is a broad background against why I conduct this piece of research focusing on translation of higher education. There has been a growing body of research on translation of higher education in China in recent years. However, there has been less research on changes in translation of higher education degree programs. In translation of higher education programs, there are two types. One type refers to degree awarding programs. The other type is concerned with non-degree awarding programs. Programs that are only awarded with certificates or diploma. So I focus on the analysis and discussion of degree programs since China joined WTO in 2002. That is, I think this is a very important year for China to internationalize its higher education. Based on time series statistics, translation of higher education degree programs are essential for institutions to offer high quality education that prepares students for successful careers and contributes to the overall growth and development of society. This is the reason why this study emphasizes and analyzes and discusses changes in the provision of translation of higher education degree programs by Chinese universities from 2003 to 2023. The starting year is 2003, 1 year just after China joined the WTO. So we can identify what changes happened to, translation of higher education degrees in Chinese universities. And I will use national data of translation of higher education programs at the undergraduate and graduate level issued by the Minister of Education China in 2003 and 2023 respectively. And since 2001, about 20 years ago, I started to supervise some graduate students, including doctor students. One of my doctor students worked on translation of higher education in China. So at that time, we collected data relating to translation of higher education institutions and programs. So I use the data that we gathered in 2003. Then I collected data which was issued in early 2023, that is March 2003. So we can compare changes occurred in translational higher education degree programs over the past 20 years. And I cannot address all issues concerning translational higher education degrees. I focus on some specific aspects of translational higher education degree programs. And I have created two broad research questions. The first is about what changes occurred in the provision of translational higher education degree programs from 2003 to 2023 in Chinese university. This is the same as written in my topic. And my second research question is concerned with what factors affected these changes. And I just mentioned that, and I use the data gathered from an information platform for supervision of Chinese foreign and cooperative schools, which was created, managed, and published by Ministry of Education. So you can find the website of this platform. I believe some of our participants may be familiar with the platform because you can find a lot of information in relation to translational higher education programs, institutions in China. And the platform was created by the Ministry of Education. So I think the statistics I gathered in 2003 and 2023 from the platform of high scientific validity and reliability. So this is the source of data I used in my study. Then move to the core part of my talk. Perhaps I should have provided you with a conceptual framework, but because of limit of time, I will go straight to the core part of my talk. And according to data presented in Fig 1, the largest number of degree programs, here I want to emphasize, I only focus on analysis and discussion of degree programs in translational higher education belong to the master degrees level. The total number is 85, followed by those at undergraduate level, 30, and 2 doctor programs in 2003. It happened about 20 years ago. In contrast, this year, by March 2023, undergraduate programs represent the majority of translational higher education degree programs. It increased by 883, followed by master degree programs. The number is 170 and 1 doctor program. Further, the data reveals that the number of undergraduate programs had the biggest increase from 30 in 2003 to 885 in 2023. In contrast, the number of doctor degree programs decreased from 2 in 2003 to only 1 in 2023. The number of master degree the number of master programs is also showing a more significant increase from around 28 in 2003 to 117 in 2023. And the number of translational higher education degree programs increased for more than 10 times over the past 20 years. And Table 1 shows changes in the number of translational higher education degree programs by overseas partner countries. I think it's very important. Some earlier study also focused on study of this aspect of translational higher education. And the data reveals that the USA, the United States, was the largest overseas partner in terms of number of translational higher education degree programs with 37 programs in 2003 and a significant increase to 309 programs in 2023. And this is very interesting. The UK has also seen a substantial increase in the number of translation higher education degree programs from 5 in 2003 to 218 in 2023. Australia was the second largest partner in 2003, with 28 translation higher education degree programs, but this decreased to 107 in 2023. Canada, on the other hand, had seen an increased number of translation higher education degrees from 6 in 2003 to 61 in 2023. France had also seen a substantial increased number of translation higher education degree programs from 8 in 2003 to 47 in 2023. Germany had only one translation higher education degree program in 2003, but this had increased to 61 by 2023. Korea had also seen a significant increase from only 2 in 2003 to 86 in 2023. So you can find remarkable changes occurred in the number of translation higher education degrees by overseas partner country and the system. In terms of other partner countries, societies, Hong Kong and Singapore, the Netherlands and the Belgium has seen only small changes in the number of translation higher education degree programs. Norway had only 2 degree programs in both 2003 and 2023. Russia and Japan did not have any translation higher education degree programs in 2003, but have since established a considerable number of programs. Russia had 109 translation higher education degree programs by 2023, while Japan had 15 programs. Also, you can see this is also one of the biggest changes happening to its 2 overseas partner countries in cooperation with Chinese universities. And based on the information provided in Table 2, it appears that there was Table 2 shows changes in number of translation higher education degree programs by discipline. This is also very important aspect, suggesting the basic characteristics of translation higher education programs and institutions. It appears that there was a significant shift in the proportion of translation higher education degree programs offered over the past 20 years. In 2003, the largest number of degree programs related to management or trade, followed by economics and engineering. However, in 2023, except for other, the largest proportion number of degree programs was in science. Here it should be 2023, not 2003. Sorry, this is a mistake. However, in 2023, except for other, the largest number of degree programs was in the science. The number is 191, followed by engineering, 116, and management only the number of management becomes 96. The data suggests that this shift may reflect a transition in the delivery of translation higher degree programs from a focus on job-ready knowledge and skills in commerce and trade to more basic fields of science and engineering. This may be indicative of the broad trends towards a great emphasis on STEM education and training in the internationalization of China's higher education. Table 3 suggests changes in the number of translation higher education degree programs in terms of province and city in China. as you can find, in 2003, Beijing had the highest number of translation higher education degree programs. The number of programs provided by an institution located in Beijing is 27. By 2023, is one more mistake? I'm sorry for that. 2023, the number of translation higher education degree programs in Beijing increased to 60, while the number in Shanghai had only increased slightly to 35. Tianjin, and also one of the biggest cities in China, also saw an increased number of translation higher education degree programs from 10 in 2003 to 19 to in 2023. And here should be an 2010 from 2003 to 2023, not from 2003 to 2013. I'm sorry for the mistake. The largest increased number of translation higher education degree programs occurred in Chongqing. It's a southwest part of China. It's a part of inland, which did not have any translation higher education degree programs in 2003, but had 32 programs by 2023. Zhejiang also saw a significant increase from 10 in 2003 to 67 in 2023. In terms of other provinces and cities, Guangdong had only a small increase number of translation higher education degree programs from 6 in 2003 to 29 in 2023. Jiangsu is one of the most wealthy provinces in China, had a notable increase from 5 in 2003 to 97 in 2023. Liaoning is one province of northeast part of China, also saw a significant increase from 4 in 2003 to 42 in 2023. So you can also find a diversity of degree programs provided by Chinese university by region. And several provinces and cities did not have any degree programs in 2003, but had a number of programs by 2023, including Chongqing, Hainan, Fujian, Shandong, Sichuan, Anhui, Hebei, Henan, Hubei, Hunan, Shanxi, Heilongjiang, Guangxi, Yunnan, Guizhou, Gansu, and the other provinces. In short, the data suggests that there has been a significant increase in number of translation higher education degree programs in China over the past 20 years, with some provinces and cities experiencing a large increase than others. This is especially true in the case of these provinces and cities located in west part or northwest part of China. This may reflect a growing demand for international education opportunities in China, as well as efforts by Chinese institutions and especially local authorities to establish partnership with foreign universities and increase their global presence. And in terms of global ranking of Chinese universities that collaborated with foreign universities, previous research indicates that in the 1990s and early 2000s, the majority of leading Chinese universities, including Zhejiang University, Tsinghua University, and Shanghai Jiaotong University, some leading research-intensive Chinese universities were engaged in working with foreign partners to provide translation higher education degree programs. However, in 2023, Shanghai Normal University, this is good university, but this is not considered to be leading research-intensive university in China. Shanghai Normal University had a large number of translation higher education degree programs with foreign partners, and it provides 13 programs in cooperation with overseas partner universities, followed by Tsinghua University. and Henan University of Science and Technology. In comparison to the past decade, it appears that a great number of less prestige or local universities become involved in providing translational higher education degree programs in cooperation with foreign countries. This is the reason why there's increasing diversification of degree programs provided by Chinese universities located in local areas of origin. It is worth noting that in contrast to 2003, when no private universities were qualified to award degree programs in cooperation with foreign universities, in 2023 or by 2023, several private universities offer translational higher education degree programs. For example, Shanghai Sanda University, which was one of the oldest private university located in Shanghai. And this university and United States Redlands University cooperate to launch an undergraduate education program in international economics and trade. TNHE College of Shanghai Normal University cooperates with Western Oregon University in the United States to offer an undergraduate program in preschool education. And Guangzhou South China University of Technology and Ireland's Griffith College jointly offer an undergraduate program in data science and big data technology. But all these programs belong to undergraduate education level. From the perspective of foreign partners, compared to 2003, when a majority of them belong to non-research intensive universities or had less prestige in the world, it appears that a great number of foreign partners with relatively high rankings in global university tables like QS and Times Higher Education have collaborated with Chinese university to provide degree programs. For example, New York State University in the United States, and RMIT in Australia, and University of Greenwich and Manchester in the UK provides a large number of degree programs in China. And maybe I have 3 minutes for my talk. I'd like to add two. I think these are interesting tables showing how Chinese universities have collaborated with Russian universities for the past several years. Table 4 suggests a number of translation higher education degree and non-degree programs in collaboration with the Russian university by educational level and discipline. And table 5 reviews the number of translational higher education degree programs in cooperation with Russian university by region and city. You can find the total number of translational higher education programs, including both degree programs and non-degree programs, reached 100 by 2023. Among which, in terms of education level, the largest number of them belong to undergraduate education programs. The number is 95. Regarding discipline, the large number of them belong to engineering, and a lot of them, and I highlight those programs only belong to, I highlight some parts of data in table 4 in red color, showing many of these programs are not degree awarding programs. Among 100 translational higher education programs in cooperation with Russia, more than half, that is 65 of them are not degree awarding programs. And here, it's also very interesting. I think it's interesting. And in terms of region and the city, the large number of programs in cooperation with Russian universities are provided by Chinese universities in Heilongjiang. It's one province of northeast part of China. And I'm sorry, here, the second largest program here, provided by Chinese university located in Liaoning also, and located in northeast part of China. And here should be second largest, Jilin. So the largest number of translational higher education programs in cooperation with Russian university are provided by Chinese universities located in 3 provinces located in northeast part of China, which are close to the border of Russia. And there are several reasons for the rapid growth in number of translational higher education degrees and the diversification of these programs. First, the increase in number of undergraduate programs may reflect China's efforts to increase the number of highly skilled workers and meet growing demand for higher education among Chinese students. This trend is also a result of government policy of massification of higher education, that is to expand higher education opportunities, particularly at the undergraduate level. The growth in rate of enrollment at higher education level reached nearly 60% of age group in China last year, which indicates China has moved into the stage of near universal stage, according to Martin Tullo's theory. The second effect might be the significant increase in number of translational higher education programs from the United States and UK may reflect the growing demand for international education opportunities among Chinese students, as well as the efforts of these countries to increase their global presence and expand their education markets. Third fact is the shift in the number of translational higher education degree programs from management to science and engineering fields may reflect a broader trend towards a great emphasis on STEM education training, which is in line with the needs of China's growing economy and increasing technological development. Last point is the changes in number of translational higher education degree programs in different provinces and cities in China may reflect regional differences in the demand for higher education and availability of educational resources. For example, the significant increase in number of translational higher education degree programs in Chongqing and Zhejiang and Henan may be a result of government's efforts to promote economic development and higher education in these regions. And I will conclude my presentation by presenting the following points. This research, the data presented in the study suggests that translational higher education landscape in China has undergone significant changes from 2003 to 2023. And the first point is the growth of translational higher education degree program, particularly at the undergraduate level, indicates a strong demand for international higher education among Chinese students. Second, the United States and UK have been the dominant partners in terms of number of translational higher education degrees programs, but other countries have also seen increases in partnership with Chinese institutions, especially true in the case of a Russian cooperation with Chinese university for the past years. Third, the shift towards more basic fields of science and engineering in translational higher education degree programs may reflect a broad trend towards STEM education training in China. And finally, the changing in the distribution of translational higher education degree programs across provinces and cities in China suggests that the growth of translational higher education is not uniform throughout the country, with some areas experiencing more significant increase than others. So compare with the previous literature, and the study highlights several key trends in the growth and diversification of translational higher education degree programs in China from 2003 to 2023. First, there has been a rapid growth number of translational higher education degree programs, as well as increasing diversity in terms of institutions, disciplines, education levels, partner countries, and geographic origins. Second, more non-research intensive Chinese universities in local area, especially in poor areas, have become engaged in offering translational higher education degree programs. Third, Chinese universities have formed partnerships with a wide range of foreign universities, including those from non-traditional source countries such as Russia and Japan. Finally, the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the trend towards online translation higher education programs, as Chinese universities have expanded their offerings of such programs to local students who were recruited by foreign universities, but were unable to travel due to international travel restrictions. And thank you very much for your attention. I think we have some questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Huang. I was trying to unmute myself. And I can thank you so much for the excellent presentation. I can see already there are quite a few questions in the chat area. So first of all, can I invite Alcom to ask your question, please?
Hello, Xin, and hello, Professor Futao Huang. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was fantastic and very clear. I was just wondering, like, in one of your presentation sessions, there was information regarding the increasing numbers of transnational higher education programs between Chinese universities and overseas partners, and I see that from 2003 until 2023, it's a very long gap. It's like a 2 decades gap. Of course, it's more likely there is always a significant increase. Not always, but most likely during these globalizations and then the neoliberal pressure to universities. They try to develop their services so that their cooperations and then their partnership with overseas universities have also been increasing. And then I see that you only mentioned the information regarding the increases from 2003 to 2023 without mentioning any things related to what happened during the COVID-19, because I believe these last 3 years of COVID-19, 2008-19 until 2022, these years were very crucial to the development of overseas partners or like any transnational programs in all countries. So I was just wondering, did something happen that you didn't cover in your research? Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for this important question, and yeah, you're right. And but there are several cases that we need to how to say it, identify before we talk about what changes happened during the global outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. And regarding the undergraduate level programs, the typical, the typical duration of study is 4 years. So the program, I mean the number of undergraduate level programs that I collected from a platform should have been approved by the Minister of Education at least 4 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago. That is before the global outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. So this is one case of undergraduate level progress. Regarding the number of master level programs, this is more complicated because typically the length of master level study is 2 years, or sometimes it lasts 3 years. So I'm not sure when the program was approved by the Minister of China, it was approved during the global outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, or before the COVID-19 pandemic. And the third case about the number of doctor programs, there's only one. So I don't think there have been any big changes in number of doctor programs provided by Chinese universities in cooperation with overseas partner countries. I have the data of the number of transnational higher education degree programs, which I collected in 2013, about 10 years ago. And I will check and see if there were any specific or changes occurred in the provision of numbers of degree programs during the global outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I then invite David to ask your question, please?
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. I'd like to begin, Professor Huang, by thanking you for a very informative talk. My name is David. I work in the President's office in a medium-sized university in England. And we have been, for the last 5 years, really, developing China partnerships in a number of ways. We have a double degree joint education program with Beijing Foreign Studies University. And for over 3 years, I was trying to get approval for a joint institute with a Chinese traditional medicine university in Chengdu. Unfortunately, that has just come through. My question is really about motivation. And I want to begin, if I might, with an observation, which is about the way in which transnational education is regulated in China and what drives that regulation. This is by comparison with what happens in many other countries. In many other countries, commercialization is really very much a part of transnational education. In China, of course, education is not regarded as a commercial activity, although there are many private Chinese universities. And the idea that it would be possible to enter China with the TNHE program simply for profit is something which is anathema to Chinese authorities. There must be mutual benefit. Now, my question is really about status disparity and the way in which the foreign partners have tended to go up the league tables. One of the things that we were concerned about was to try and make a good partnership. We have a good partnership in a double degree with BFSU. We wanted a good partnership for a joint institute with a good university in China. But we found this difficult because to go to a double first-class university, if you're not in the top 200 or top 300 of QS, and we're not at that status, is difficult. And we were turned back on the basis primarily of this university is too good for you, and really we'd like to see them linking with a better status university. We then had to put a lot of work into additional information to show that actually universities in the UK and in many other countries are ranked across the board. But within those universities, you may have excellent faculties, and our faculty of medicine and health is certainly excellent. And in the end, I think that won the day. So my question is really about what motivates the Chinese government in securing this development of transnational education. Partly, of course, as you said, it's about human capital, it's about talent development, and so on. But it's also, and I think this is really very much a part of the picture, it's about developing the Chinese universities and trying to ensure that those universities which have not had foreign partnerships can benefit from new partnerships with the university overseas. So there must be mutuality rather than seeking profit out of the arrangement. Seeking profit is something that underpins TNE in many other countries, but certainly not in China. I wonder if you have some comments.
And compared to what happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and the Chinese policies on the provision of translational higher education institutions and programs have changed rapidly. At the start of the translational higher education in the middle 1990s, and the focus was placed on both sides. I mean, the Chinese universities and the overseas partner universities to recruit as many as Chinese local students. That is to expand the quantitative aspect of China and expect these translational higher education institutions and programs to contribute for the massification of Chinese higher education. I think the main the focus placed on the development of translational higher education from the middle 1990s to the early 2000s is on this aspect. But since then, especially since the Chinese government launched the policy of several projects to build up world-class university or globally first-rate universities. Both the central government and local authorities have adopted different policies and to promote the growth and diversification of translational higher education. On the one hand, the central government encourages Chinese leading universities like Shanghai Jiaotong and Tsinghua University and East China Normal University. These universities that are included in the double world-class university project to work with globally recognized overseas partner university that are ranked among top 100 or maybe top 200 in the global university ranking tables. So this is one aspect of policy which was adopted in recent years. You can find some newly established universities between a research intensive university in China and a research intensive universities in the United States and UK. For example, Shanghai New York University and Queensland Duke University, that is Wuhan University, is also two of China's leading universities, and Wuhan University worked with Duke University and jointly established the Queensland Duke University. So this is one aspect. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, and the local authorities are also engaged in working with overseas partner university, essentially, I mean, overseas partner university which that are not ranked in a very high positions in the global university ranking system. And I just explain some examples relating to the cooperation between Chinese university and the Russian universities. You can find more than half of the translational higher education programs in cooperation with a Russian university are not degree awarding programs. So you can see that on the other hand, and local authorities also engaged in working with overseas partner universities, but they are not, primarily concerned with collaborating with those and how globally recognized research university. They are working with a teaching-centered university, and many of these universities are not ranked in high presence in global university ranking tables. I hope that I have answered your questions.
Thank you very much, Futao. And because we've got around 10 minutes left, so I'm going to group some questions together, if that's okay. So first of all, can I ask Esther to ask your question, please?
Yeah. Hi, thank you, Professor Huang, and giving this comprehensive evidence of past 20 years TNE programs working with China. And just to really concern about what the reasons behind so many universities working with Russia recent years and approved by the MOE. And is it around, as you said, is about political political view of working more closely with Russia, or there's some kind of a financial incentives, or those as a factors, or as you probably you answered the questions, league table is really kind of not seen a big factor of working with overseas institution for this type of project, or the reasons of subjects is really kind of a subject lead collaborations between the two countries. So what's your view and comments on this?
As a matter of fact,
sorry, Futao, please, because we have another question, which is really closely related. So can I invite Svetlana to ask your question, please?
Thank you, Professor Huang, for your comprehensive lecture. I am Svetlana Shenderova. I work at Tampere University, Finland, and Russian joint and collaborative degrees with the other countries of the world are a particular topic of my research. So my question is related to the sources of your data related to China-Russia internationalization. Where did you find your data? What is your opinion on the reasons of low number of joint and double degrees issued in Chinese-Russian university partnership? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So can I take these two questions?
Yes, please.
And as a matter of fact, the Russian university and enjoyed more favorable how to say it, policies and provided by the Chinese government. For example, and some of you may know a Russian research institute has started to build an independent campus in Hainan, and it will become the first independent, they call it a university, but I think it, at least for the moment, it's only taking the shape of a research institute. It will be the first foreign independent campus built and managed by a foreign university. So no any other countries could have enjoyed such a privilege to establish an independent campus in mainland China. So you can imagine, and in the new future, and China will undertake much closer and direct collaboration with Russia in higher education at almost every aspect, including the provision of degree programs and jointly built campuses in mainland China. I think I have answered your first question. The second question, where did I collect the data? I think I have explained in my presentation. I collected my data from the information platform created by the Ministry of Education, and the data is so. Did I miss your question? I think this data is reliable and could be used for our research. So you asked me that where I collect my data?
Yes. And thank you for your clarifications of the sources. And my other question was related to the reasons of, your opinion. What is your opinion of the low why the number of joint degrees with Russian universities are so low? What are the reasons?
What is my opinion of what? I couldn't hear clearly your last part of the question. What's my opinion of?
Why do you think the number of joint Russian-Chinese degrees is so low? So there are a lot of collaboration, but the number of degrees issues is low. Why?
Yeah, I did not show you more details of translational higher education programs in cooperation with Russian universities. As a matter of fact, except Shanghai Jiaotong and Shanghai Normal University, the rest of Chinese universities either belong to local universities, and many of Chinese higher education institutions belong to private institutions. Some of them are independent college. So except for Shanghai Jiaotong, that is working with a Russian university in the field of aerospace, the majority of Chinese universities are not research-intensive universities, and most of Chinese universities do not enjoy high social or academic reputation in China. For the Russian side, it's almost the same. That's the reason why more than half of the programs provided by Chinese universities and Russian universities are not qualified to confer degrees.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And next, can I invite two final speakers from our audience? The first one is An Chen, please. Anan, are you still there? If not, can I then invite Andrea to ask your question, please?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the excellent presentation. I have three questions actually, and I will try to be very brief. Number one, I found your points about the local government's role extremely interesting. And tying back also to your comments about Russia, I would like to ask about Hainan and whether, did I miss anything, or was the free international education zone created not in time to be included in the data set, and will Hainan maybe grow in the tables? You know, what is your opinion about that? Second question, I would like to know whether you also looked into the trends about how these programs are structured and how much mobility they require to the foreign partner. So for example, whether you can see a trend of shifting from the 3+1 model to 4+0 in the undergraduate degrees. And then the third question, and I do understand that this is probably a bigger question, what do you think are the possible reasons behind the low number of PhD degrees?
Thank you, Andrea. And I should also mention,
so much.
Thank you. I should also mention that Yu Zhang also had a question, but she mentioned to me that it's quite similar to Esther's question, so she's not going to ask that. Maybe I'll read out Anand's question also for you, Professor Huang, to think.
Okay.
So Anand is asking that despite the huge expansion.
Sorry, I'm on Sorry, I'm on a moving train, so it's really bad
Lovely,
signal.
lovely
Yeah,
to have
it's
you
really
back.
helpful if you could help me read my question. Thank
Oh,
you.
I mean,
Thank
if you can speak, please feel free to ask your question
Oh,
yourself.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Professor Huang. Thank you for your presentation. I'm just wondering, so despite the huge expansion of TNE in China, how do you see the potential challenges and issues that may hinder development? For example, the geopolitical tension between China and Western countries, and also Chinese government is like paying more attention to restrict the recognition of degrees. And also, sometimes it's difficult to recruit staff, teaching staff to like work in China for a long time. Yes, so how do you see those problems in the future? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look, can I take, I think, 4 questions?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and thank you for your questions. And for the first question, I think I just answered. It is in Hainan, and Russian university has started to build its independent campus, and in 2025 it will recruit local Chinese students according the schedule. So and this is one of the first foreign university that all independent campus. Perhaps there will be more campuses jointly established by Chinese side and overseas partner universities. I'm not sure, but Russia has started. I think now it's our construction. And second question is, did you look into the since the total number of translational higher education degree programs has reached more than 1,000, there are a wide variety of forms, and according to different universities and disciplines. There is 1+3 and 2+2 and even 3+1 on the undergraduate level. I did not, present, the wide variety of forms and provided by individual translational higher education and degree programs, and I'm sorry for that. And third question is, what are possible reasons behind the low number of doctors? It's very difficult, and it's very difficult for you to first to make money from doctor degree programs, and it's easier for you to make money from undergraduate students. I think it's true in almost every country. And if you want to attract the talent to recruit a doctor candidates, maybe you should provide some scholarship. So this is one reason. And secondly, China has a much stricter, more rigid standards for establishing doctor degree programs. I think these are 2 major reasons why there are much few number of doctor degree programs. And the last question is about potential challenges brought about from the geopolitics tensions. Yes, you can find this, and that's the reason why there has been a shift in the number of providing programs of economics, trade, languages, to the emphasis on the provision of STEM programs in China. This is one of the result, I think, from the changing geopolitics tension. And the other is recruiting international staff for a long-term perspective. And most of international academics hired in these translational higher education institutions are not long-term. And many of them either are very young or retired and professors. So we did interviews, and we also collected data from the websites of several higher education translational institutions in China. And we found either they are young, very young, and newly hired assistant professors, or very old retired professors. So, and you can imagine it's easier for these institutions to recruit young academics, or much easier for them to hire already retired professors to come to China and to be involved in teaching activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much again to Futao and to everyone for a really informative and insightful discussion. The recording and transcript of this session will be posted on the CGHE website soon. And our next CGHE webinar is this Thursday by Professor Alan Hazelcone. And Alan will ask and answer another really important question. Is it time to rethink our mode of post-secondary education, progressing a tertiary education ecosystem? You can find the details in the chat area, and you're more than welcome to join us again. So with that, thank you so much again to Professor Huang, and take care everyone, and bye for now.
Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for questions and the comments. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.